200,000. That's the number of banking jobs that Wall Street's own research says will disappear over the next 3 to 5 years. Not because of a recession, not because of a financial crisis, because of artificial intelligence. And the way the banks are doing it, most of those people will never see it coming. The 6 largest banks in America, JP Chase, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Citigroup, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo, collectively made $47 billion in profit last quarter. In that same quarter, they cut 15,000 jobs. $47 billion in profit, 15,000 jobs eliminated at the same time. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly which jobs are disappearing first, what language the banks are using to hide it, why the people most at risk are the ones who think they're safest, and the 3 things you can do right now if your career is anywhere near the financial sector. But before we get to the people losing their jobs, you need to understand how a bank makes $47 billion in profit and cuts 15,000 workers in the same breath. Because that answer tells you everything about what's actually happening and who decided it was acceptable. For most of financial history, more profit meant more hiring. When a bank made more money, it needed more people to manage that money, serve more clients, process more transactions. That relationship, profit up, hiring up, is over. In 2026, the 6 largest US banks are spending $85 billion on technology. That is not a typo. $85 billion in a single year on AI, automation, and the systems that replace what humans currently do. JP Chase alone has a technology budget of $19.8 billion for 2026. That's a 10% increase from last year. Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan's CEO, said in December that AI will, in his own words, eliminate jobs. He said it publicly, on the record. Goldman Sachs president John Waldron described his own bank as a, quote, human assembly line, ripe for automation. Citigroup CEO Jane Fraser told her own staff that some roles will, quote, no longer be required. HSBC's executives told employees in May 2026 not to fight AI. These aren't anonymous analysts predicting a distant future. These are the CEOs of the largest banks on Earth telling their own employees publicly that AI is coming for their jobs. But here's what none of those CEOs said in those same statements. They didn't tell you what the jobs are. They didn't tell you when it happens. They didn't tell you how the process actually works. Therefore, let me tell you exactly what they're not saying, starting with the language they use to make sure you don't notice until it's too late. There is a specific vocabulary that banks use when AI is eliminating roles. It does not include the words firing or replacing. It includes words like these: productivity journey, efficiency program, workforce transformation, strategic restructuring, operational optimization. When Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan appeared on television earlier this year, a host asked him directly whether AI would replace his employees. He said, and I'm quoting, "You don't have to worry." That same week, Bank of America was forecasting a lower headcount for the year ahead. Here's how it actually works, and this is the part that almost nobody is explaining. Banks are not firing people in large, announced rounds. What they are doing is quieter. They slow replacement hiring. They shrink their junior analyst classes. They move staff into technology roles and let annual employee turnover do the rest. When someone in a traditional banking role leaves, retires, resigns, moves on, that role simply is not filled. No announcement, no press release, no severance headline. The job just quietly disappears. JP Morgan's Diamond has pointed to exactly this playbook: attrition, redeployment, retraining, and early retirement as the levers the bank will use rather than relying on mass layoff rounds. That model lets banks lower headcount quietly. They can slow replacement hiring, shrink analyst classes, and move staff into technology roles while annual turnover does the rest. The Challenger Employment Report confirmed that in April 2026 alone, a single month, 21,490 job cuts were directly attributed to AI and automation across the financial sector. 21,490 people in 1 month, framed as a productivity journey. But the cuts are not falling equally across all levels. Let's talk about exactly whose jobs are disappearing first, because the answer is not who most people expect. The first wave of AI job elimination in banking is not hitting the most senior people, it is hitting the most junior. Global financial services hiring for entry-level positions, 0 to 2-year experience, has fallen 24% from early 2024 levels, according to a Randstad workforce report. Banks are reducing their junior analyst classes by as much as 2/3, according to McKinsey's Quantum Black AI arm. 2/3. Think about what that means. If a bank previously hired 90 junior analysts in a given year, it is now hiring 30 or fewer. The reason is simple and alarming. AI tools can now complete in 20 minutes what would previously take several junior analysts 3 days. The legal document review that took a team of associates working through the weekend, done in 20 minutes. The credit risk assessment that required a junior analyst to build a model over several days, automated. The account opening paperwork that a regional center employed dozens of people to process, handled by software. And here is the part that should concern anyone at any level of their banking career. Demashish Patnaik, senior partner and leader of McKinsey's Quantum Black AI arm, put it plainly in a Bloomberg interview in June. Banking is an apprenticeship business. Today's junior analysts become tomorrow's managing directors. Senior judgment cannot be manufactured laterally. In other words, the entry-level roles being automated right now are not just jobs. They are the training ground that produces the senior leaders AI cannot replace. When you eliminate the junior analysts, you are not just cutting costs today, you are eliminating the pipeline of experienced human judgment that the bank will need in 10 years. The banks know this. They have not stopped. But junior analysts are not the only ones at risk in this wave. Therefore, let's talk about the middle office, the level that historically felt immune to technology, because that assumption is no longer safe. For decades, the conventional wisdom in banking was that AI would come for routine, repetitive work, data entry, basic processing, back-office administration, and that the sophisticated, relationship-driven, judgment-intensive work of the middle office would be protected. That conventional wisdom is wrong. A Citigroup report, published by the same bank, cutting 20,000 jobs, estimates that approximately 54% of US banking jobs could be automated. 54%, more than half, of all US banking jobs. Employment lawyer David Parsons of Mishcon de Rea told Bloomberg in June that this wave of automation reaches jobs higher up the chain than previous ones. His exact words? "It's fair to say the middle office is vulnerable." What does middle office mean? Compliance officers, risk analysts, trade settlement teams, loan underwriters, internal audit, financial controllers. The people whose work requires judgment and context and institutional knowledge, not just speed and scale. AI tools being deployed right now are automating legal document review, contract analysis, credit assessment, fraud detection, and trade monitoring across every major US bank simultaneously. And there is a legal risk that nobody is discussing in polite company. Broad AI-driven layoffs could raise discrimination concerns if cuts fall too heavily on certain age groups. Specifically, mid-career professionals in their 40s and 50s, whose roles overlap most directly with what current AI can do. TipRanks confirmed that at least 16 banking and financial services firms have already announced a combined 63,000 job cuts in 2026, with the average reduction equal to about 5.5% of each firm's workforce. But not everyone is losing in this transformation. Therefore, before we close, let's be honest about who is winning, what the banks are building toward, and the 3 specific things you can do if your role is anywhere near what I've described in this video. Let's be fair about who is benefiting from this. The banks themselves are winning $47 billion in combined quarterly profit, up 18% year over year, while cutting 15,000 jobs tells you exactly what the business case looks like. Shareholders are winning. Bank stocks have responded positively to every announcement of AI-driven headcount reduction. The AI industry is winning. Banks are collectively spending $85 billion on AI infrastructure in 2026 alone. That money flows to technology companies, software vendors, and cloud providers. But here are 3 things you can do right now if your career is anywhere near the financial sector. 1. Stop waiting to understand AI and start using it. The banks cutting jobs are not eliminating people who use AI. They are eliminating people who don't. JP Morgan, Citigroup, and Goldman Sachs are all explicitly hiring for AI proficiency. Citi's CEO has raised AI proficiency as a key criterion for retention. The workers surviving this wave are the ones who make themselves the human layer that directs the technology, not the ones who compete with it directly. 2. Understand which tasks in your current role are most automatable and shift away from them. Document review, data entry, basic analysis, routine client communication, compliance processing. If your role is primarily these tasks, the timeline for displacement is shorter than you probably think. The roles that are safer are the ones requiring relationship management, complex judgment, regulatory interpretation, and client trust. Shift toward those skills before the restructuring reaches your level. 3. Do not assume your employer will tell you before it happens. JP Morgan's own playbook is attrition and slow hiring, not mass layoff announcements. The signal that your role is at risk is not a severance package. It's a smaller analyst class next year. It's a restructuring that moves 3 teams into 1. It's a productivity initiative that nobody calls a job elimination program. Watch for the language. It was all listed in this video. The 6 largest banks in America made $47 billion in profit last quarter. In the same quarter, they cut 15,000 jobs. They called it a productivity journey. They called it an efficiency program. They called it transformation. What they did not call it was what it actually was. The most profitable companies in the history of American finance decided they could make even more money with fewer people. And the way they're doing it means most of those people will never see it coming. Not angry, not panicked, just real. If this video changed how you read the next round of bank earnings headlines, share it with someone in the financial sector who needs to understand what those headlines are actually saying. We post every Wednesday. Subscribe if you want to know what's coming for your wallet and your career next.